in the run-up to the 75th anniversary of the NHS, which is on July the 5th this year, NHS Charities Together is really delighted to be working with Rankin to put together this exhibition, which will take place at the Saatchi Gallery from 30th of May to the 11th of June, which essentially tells the story of the incredible and vital contribution of NHS Charities throughout the history of the health service. So today we have NHS staff, patients and supporters of NHS Charities. Each of them has a really strong personal connection to NHS Charities and also a story to tell about the impact of NHS Charities.
The thing that I've learned from all these people today is how much of a massive contribution they make to the National Health Service, and that is so important because it's just part of our DNA is the NHS, and we should support it as much as we can.
I was born a little bit before the NHS started, but throughout my life it's been an enormous sort of support for me and my family and all that. And you take it a bit for granted, so I think it's good sometimes to remember it needs help. And I think the more people can help out, the better, because so many people have benefited.
I saw an advert for the More Than Football campaign online, and I've suffered from crippling anxiety for years, and I've always wanted to be involved, so I just went for it, and it's all helped by NHS Charities Together and Albion in the community, and it's just a way of getting men talking and playing football, and it's just a big group of like-minded guys who have all suffered with the mental health and haven't had the strength to talk about it, but now we've created a safe space and everyone can feel open and safe enough to talk.
Yeah, I think that's what it's all about, to see actually, Matt just spoke openly downstairs about what he was going through and how the NHS Charities Together helped him, and just hearing it from Matt was incredible really, and I'm sure there's plenty of other people that it's helped.
The story that really stood out to me was Beryl Fairclough. The brilliant thing about Beryl is that she has this group called the Sensational Six, and they knit to raise money, and she's literally risen tens of thousands of pounds for NHS Charities.
I started raising money for the NHS years and years and years ago when I was a ward clerk, and we just wanted little luxuries like a toast rack or a nice napkins or a nice tray to have your meal off. Anything that was, just made it a little bit more comfortable for people that were in hospital, and that's how it started. And then it grew from that to larger projects. One of the big projects that I was involved in was Tiny Hearts, and we built a brand new baby care unit. It cost £1 million, we had to raise £1 million. It took 5 years nearly to raise this money, but the people in Barnsley are very generous and they will help when they can. We did raise the £1 million eventually, and we opened the brand new unit, and it's absolutely fantastic. So we're now in the process of going from one extreme to the other, and we're doing it for what we call Make a Memory, which is for people who suffer from Alzheimer's.
Well, my father had a stammer, quite a serious stammer, and growing up as he did, sort of 1920s and 30s, no one was able to sort of do anything about it. You were considered just to have a disability, and that's it. There's nothing that can be done. And I think that it would have changed his life immeasurably if he'd been able to have the sort of a treatment from the therapy that the Michael Palin Centre and other places now do.
I took part when I was a teenager, and at that time I was kind of really quiet and shy, and I wasn't really talking to a lot of people about it. And my experience was life-changing, honestly, and being able to have a voice is absolutely amazing. And if I hadn't had my training with the Michael Palin, I wouldn't be where I am now.
We provide a service within our department for neurosciences, which is what's called a titanium cranioplasty. We do make quite a few of them sort of every year. And because we had the 3D printers that were donated by University Hospital Birmingham Charities, it allowed us to manipulate the 3D CT software, and then we can print off the defect of the area, and we make the titanium skull plate on top of that. But the 3D printers, within an everyday role of our work, it forms a large workflow within our process. And if it weren't for University Hospital Birmingham Charities, we would not have been funded with those printers.
I think it's so important for charitable giving, especially for where I work in the Margaret Care unit. It was a purpose-built 8-bedded palliative unit that without donations and charitable giving, we wouldn't have the unit, and it's such a special place.
I work on a neurotrauma critical care ward. There's over 120 staff there and we have 22 beds. Worked there for 16 years, and we see the most horrendous, catastrophic things you could probably ever imagine. And the NHS Charities has made a phenomenal impact on some of my work colleagues, in the sense that wellbeing now is on the map more than it ever has been. And just to be able for my colleagues to get the support to promote psychological safety within the workplace, how much wellbeing matters. We're spending our lives and dedicating our lives to looking after other people. That often it can mean that the staff nurses, the healthcare, the domestics needs often go at the back of the queue. So the charity funding is huge.
There are lots of burnout in NHS. Lots of people there are suffering from long COVID. We see lots of death in the NHS. Obviously, it affects the mental health of the healthcare workers, either they are doctors, nurses, healthcare assistants, and organizations such as NHS Charities are providing vital support for the mental health of the staff.
I think it's the most important thing. If you don't take care of your staff, and especially staff well-being, then staff are not going to be able to do the roles that they really feel compassionate about. And I think that's why it's really important to invest in staff well-being. And the NHS Charity Together led the way, but it also has given permission to NHS Trust now to have that bigger conversation.
The ultimate goal is to try to get as many eyes as possible to see all the amazing work that goes on behind the scenes in so many different areas, in hospitals, yes, in NHS, but also in the community, and show people the stories that are going on. So the many eyes on it, the better, really.
The thing that's very important to understand is that NHS Charities helps the NHS go further with what they need to do.
I think everyone just look at themselves and their friends and the people around them and say, how have we all benefited at some point from the National Health Service? And also not to take it for granted, to realise that even in very small things, you live in a country where you do get treated and you will get support and you'll get some of the best people helping you. All those people need to know that there are people out there supporting them.
Working in NHS and as a part of NHS, they're doing an excellent job at every level. As a doctor and as a patient, I felt I was given the best care, and that's why I'm standing here. I'm sitting here.
I think it's important to highlight this amazing work that goes on behind the scenes and ultimately can save lives.